Gundam.tk presents RX-78-2 Gundam version 2.0. Hello everyone, and welcome to a new review of the Master Grade Gundam version 2.0. So, let's take a look at each of the parts, and let's see how it looks put together. So outside of a perfect grade, this is going to be the most complex inner frame of any Gundam model in this Master Grade Gundam 2.0. And you have the head, separate shoulders, arms, the jetpack, the waist, legs, and very cartoony hands. But already you can see the shape of the Gundam, and there's not very much color in it, which is a pretty nice touch, but they still weren't able to pull off a completely gray skeleton. Now the legs themselves, pretty simple. But in a really nice touch. I complained before that they didn't make it all gray, but I'm glad they did, because, of course, this being a newer Master Grade, you can get a full 180 bend with the knee, but Gundam's knees should be white, and you don't want to show off gray skeleton if you bend it all the way. But nice touches here with the sliding pieces, so already the quality of this skeleton is just, it's apparent already. So the awesomeness just continues with the waist skirt. Something that's impressive about this is that each piece of the waist armor is able to move independently, but you have a fairly large range of motion. So if you look, the back skirts here are actually held on the side, so you can move everything here, and you can see that it attaches there to the side. Now I've got to stop saying that everything looks sharp, but it's hard to. Even the shoulders have a good skeleton to them. The arms are very simple, but again, you can get what every Gundam should give you nowadays in a Master Grade, which is the full bend, and you can see the mechanism of the bends there. So that's already looking good. When you're looking at the actual chest, the bottom part can move independent of the top. This is where you'll attach the backpack. You don't have to put this on, but because the head is actually bigger than this neck armor part, I just thought I'd put it on first. Now the vents are actually a nice touch. They all move together, and you can close them up or keep them open like that. And what is this giant space? Well, that's for the core fighter when you transform it into the core block, and you'll be able to put that in there. And now I think we have the creepiest Gundam head I've ever seen, but what's impressive is that they were able to pull off a full internal skeleton. So over top of this you'll put on the white mouthguard and the actual white helmet. But just by having the gray here, usually with an old Gundam you used to always have to color that in with black, but now you'll have that under the white, and it'll have holes so everything shows through. I just use the regular sticker for the eyes, but if you want to paint, it's a clear part. And some nice touches, like this part here, you end up having a neck that can move very, very well. And but they put some piping in there so that if you do see it, it looks a little more realistic. Well, in terms of fictional robots. So now to start putting it together, the ankle goes in very easily to the rest of the leg unit, and then with the leg unit you're going to have two colored pieces here, and a little disappointing, but they have white, but again that'll probably look better in certain poses on the back. Plug that in up there, and you have a leg. So when you're putting the legs in to the waist unit, you just put that in, and you get a satisfying click sound, and now we have the legs. So just to take a look at the mobility, you're going to get huge movement that way, and if you try to bring it forward, you're going to get full movement that way. So again, you can bend the leg all the way in, but right away, just looking at this, that's already some very impressive mobility for a Master Grade. This is very close to perfect grade quality. Now before I seal up the top, something I just wanted to show was how incredibly well put together the arm mechanism is. So you can see that the arm's going to be able to bend back a little bit, come all the way forward, and it's on a bunch of different pivot points, and everything is really tight, so hopefully it stays that way, and the poses you make will stay in place for a long time. So putting in the arms together is very simple as well. Just make sure you've got the right bend, put the huge cartoon looking hands into the ball socket, and then just plug that into the shoulder, and this is what you can do with the arm. So you can pretty much do anything that you could imagine. So the final touches, after you put on the shoulders, are to put on the jetpack, which just claps into place really no problem at all, and to put the head on. So, good satisfying sound when you do that too. So, we have an upper body that's looking pretty Gundamish now. Now, without the core fighter, this isn't as solid as it should be. But what we're going to do is we're just going to take the upper part of the body and plug that in to the lower part of the body. And you end up getting a sound that shows it's complete. And yes, while he does have a huge hollow gut, now all of a sudden we have a completed inner frame of the Gundam 2.0. Now, just editorialize for a minute here while I just play around with this and see what we can do. A lot of people will look at your Gundam collection sometimes and they'll say, why? They're all the same, aren't they? And for me, the very simple answer is proven perfectly with this kind of model. Now, on the outside, most Gundams look the same, red, blue, yellow, blah, blah, blah. But what's impressive is that if you build a 2001, a 2003, 2005, and 2008 model, each one of them is going to be completely different. And always different in a better way. So of course, anything that's new is going to be fantastic. And now especially, if you ever find something that has a version 2.0, it's just going to be fantastic. The fun for me is in building these and actually seeing the internals and the engineering. It's not so much the outer effect, because if you're building an old robot from the 80s, it's going to look like an old robot from the 80s. But the impressive technology on the inside, in the internal frame and skeleton, that's what makes it stand out. And that's why I think a lot of people want to keep building them, even though they may have bought the first 5 or 6 master grades before this. There's always something new to find. So here we have the inner skeleton of the granddaddy of all Gundams, Amro's RX-78-2, against its newest incarnation, the Double O Gundam. And this is a non-grade 1/100th, so the same scale, and the size is just about right. They're both supposed to be 18 meters, so if you add in his armor, he'll look a little bigger. But the mobility, even though the 1/100ths have come a long way, there's just no comparison. So instead of me looking at this thing and trying to say, what can you do with it? I think it's easier to say, what can't you do with it? Overall, just for the internal skeleton, I think this model is well worth buying the version 2.0 of. So very quickly to sum up, I have never been as impressed with a Gundam model as I am with the Gundam RX-78-2 version 2.0 Master Grade. So there's nothing you can't do with it, so stay tuned to see what it looks like all put together. Thanks for watching, everybody.